Hi, hello. Welcome to your very own YouTube channel, Aviation and Air Traffic Controller Keep Educating Yourself series. For more such informative videos, I request all new visitors to please subscribe my channel and please share this channel with your friends. So today, we will be going to discuss global reporting format on runway condition report. With effect from 4th of November 2021, Aerodrome operators are required to assess and report a runway surface condition through runway condition code. The reference of the same is given in PAN's Aerodrome Doc 9981, Chapter 1. The global reporting format has its origin in the US. FAA has appointed TALPA, Takeoff and Landing Performance Assessment Aviation Rulemaking Committee. It was formed in December 2005 after a fatal runway excursion at Chicago Midway Airport. FAA has found that there is no guidance and regulation addressing operations on contaminated runway. On the recommendations of TALPA, Aviation Rulemaking Committee, the global reporting format was developed by ICAO to help mitigate the risk of runway excursions. The global reporting format is a globally harmonized methodology for assessing and reporting runway surface conditions. A runway excursion. Runway excursion is a veer off or overrun from the runway surface. The International Civil Aviation Organization has identified runway safety, particularly runway excursions, as a prime concern for aviation safety. It's a more serious risk to aviation safety. About 23% of aircraft accidents are due to runway excursion. As per available reports, in year 2019, due to runway excursion, direct loss to aviation sector was about $4 billion US. It is also a fact that the contaminated runway increases the chances of runway excursion due to reduced deceleration, reduction in direction control, or degraded braking performance of aircraft. In addition, runway surface conditions directly affect the aircraft operational performances during landing or takeoff. One of the major reasons for runway excursion is there is no guidance and regulations for operations of aircraft on contaminated runway. So, for obvious safety reasons, pilots need relevant and reliable information about the nature of contaminants, the depth and coverage of contamination, and their effect on friction between the runway and aircraft's wheel. Consequently, International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, has developed a new harmonized methodology for runway condition assessment and reporting. This is known as global reporting format. So what exactly is GRF? This we will explain in detail now. It is the improved global runway condition assessment and reporting based on the proposals of TALPA, that is Takeoff and Landing Performance Assessment Aviation Rulemaking Committee. Assessment will be done by a trained runway assessor and reporting will be done in a uniform runway condition report. Runway condition report on runway conditions, containments for each third of runway length, contaminants categorized based on aircraft braking action, and runway condition assessment matrix. We will discuss each in detail. Runway Condition Assessment Matrix, RCAM. It is used by aircraft manufacturer to determine the performance data for specific runway condition and to provide guidance material to the aircraft operators for safe operations on contaminated runway surfaces. Provisions of runway condition report to end user, which is of course pilot in command, by a nautical information service or air traffic service using improved snow time. With this, we have some idea that now runway assessment procedures have been developed and now standard global reporting formats will be used. Snowtime format is also changed, or we can better say Snowtime format is improved. Advantages of global reporting formats. Now reporting of runway surface condition will be in a standardized manner. A reduced environmental impact means fewer runway excursions, better traffic management, better management of de-icing products. Improved safety. Yes, this is another advantage of GRF. As we will be using global reporting format, we will have better understanding of runway conditions. Thus, it will result in fewer runway excursions. Improved efficiency, better situational awareness by aircraft operational personnel. It will help pilot in making decision making, thus fewer runway closures. It will allow pilots to accurately determine airplane takeoff and landing performance. So, while implementing the provisions concerning the global reporting format, it is essential that these changes are made in close coordination. Thus, lots of changes have been made in ICAO annexes and docs. Let's discuss each of them. First, Annex 14, Volume 1. It is primarily a design document, and the standards and recommended practices there are appropriate for designing a new aerodrome. I will again repeat it. Annex 14 is for new aerodromes. So in Annex 14, Volume 1, Chapter 2, Aerodrome Data, Para 2.9, Conditions of the movement area and related facilities. Earlier, in this Para 2.9, there were 12 contaminants were there. Now, these have been increased to 17 contaminants. Thereafter, procedure for reporting of water on runway is changed now. Depth of contaminants to be reported for standing water, slush, wet snow, and dry snow. I will repeat. Depth of contaminants has to be reported for only 4 contaminants, and they are standing water, slush, wet snow, and dry snow, if the depth is above a particular significant value. We will discuss it in later. Number 2, PANS aerodromes, DOC 9981. There is also some changes in this. This is applicable. Now, what is the difference between Annex 14 and PANS aerodromes? That Annex 14 was for new aerodromes. Now, if you have already some aerodromes, so it cannot comply with the new standards. So how to mitigate those to make it safe operations for the newer aircraft? For that, addressing these operational issues, PANS Aerodrome DOC 9981 is required. So in this part 1, aerodrome certification, safety assessment, and aerodrome compatibility, definition part has been revised now, which is basically regarding types of snow. PANS Aerodrome part 2, which is aerodrome operational management, chapter 1, reporting format using standard runway condition report has been revised. So these are 2 major changes in PANS aerodromes. Now I will discuss what changes have been done in Annex 3. Annex 3 is meteorological service for international air navigation. 2 amendments have been done. First one, Para 5.5, special aircraft observation. And the other one is, like earlier there were state of runway was in the template of METAR and SPACY. Now that will not be a part. It will be removed from 4th of November 2021. State of runway, which is mentioned in table A32, which is a template for METAR and SPACY, it will be removed. Then Annex 6, Part 1 and Part 2. Annex 6 is about operations of aircraft. Chapter 4 is pilot in command shall report the runway braking action. Special air report when the runway braking action encountered is not good as reported. So this is one change. The other change is Para 4.4.11, in which aeroplane operating procedure for landing performance, and in this what actually has changed that pilot is required runway condition code, he will enter into his FMS, and before if he will not get that value, he will not make an approach below 1000 feet. So this will give him what actual landing distance is required for a type of runway surface condition. So next is we will go to Annex 15, a nautical information service. So first of all, as we have already discussed, there is a change of definition of snow time. So that will introduce in Annex 15. Number 2, maximum validity is now of snow time will be of 8 hours. So after that, you have to issue after 8 hours, we have to issue a new snow time. And whenever aerodrome operator will issue a new runway condition report, based upon it is wet, then it will be given to only air traffic services. Other than wet, then it has to be given to AIA section for issuing of a snow time. We will discuss this again. Then there is some changes in PANS ATM Doc 4444. Definitions have been changed. Reporting of operational and meteorological information that got changed. Contents of special air reports is got changed. And then runway braking action is not good as reported. This section is also added there. Forwarding of braking action information when special air reports are received by voice communication, it has been added here. And these reports have to be passed without delay to the airport operator by ATC. Then essential information of aerodrome conditions, terms used for runway surface conditions. So these all things have been changed. The major change along with this is now the change in the ATC phraseology part, which is para 12.3.1.11. Then again there is some change in doc 10064, that is PANS AIM. Appendix 4 snow time format got changed. So these are the changes I have tried to include here for your information. Now, what exactly we have to do? This we will discuss here in detail. First, for runway condition report, we have to divide runway in 3 equal parts. So you can see right side runway 09 I have shown you, and left side I have shown you runway 27. First of all, from the beginning to the end, you divide runway in 3 equal halves. Now, remember, the direction for preparing the runway condition report will be from the lower designator number. So you see towards runway 09, first runway third I have done. Thereafter, middle portion is known as second runway third, and the last portion is known as third runway third. So this is the way of dividing runway into 3 equal halves. And we will prepare runway condition report for the lower designator always. So here the lower designator is runway 09. So it will be done for runway 09 side, and the first part which will start from runway 09 beginning is known as first third. The second is known as second third, and the third is known as third third. So this is done now. Now we will see how to proceed further. Now, the runway condition report has 2 sections. I repeat here again, runway condition report has 2 sections. First section is aeroplane performance calculation section, and the second section is situational awareness section. So now, first we will discuss, or rather I will say we will see all the elements of aeroplane performance calculation section first. So the first element is aerodrome location indicator. It's a 4-letter ICAO location indicator which is in accordance with DOC 7910. 7910 DOC is location indicators. So for example here 4-letter, so Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf Paris. So first thing, it is mandatory. I've shown you here this information is mandatory. So first element 1, it is mandatory aerodrome location indicator. It will be of 4-letter ICAO location indicator. Second element, date and time of assessment. It will be done in UTC. Information is mandatory again. Format, suppose first MM is month, DD is date, HHR, MM minutes. So September month 09, then date of assessment suppose 11/11, time 1357. So it will come like this. The third element is lower runway designator. As I have mentioned earlier, runway condition report will be prepared for lower runway designator only. So in case of runway 09 or 27, only runway 09 has to be reported here, and report first third of runway condition report will begin from runway 09 beginning only. So it can be of 2 letters or 3 characters, which identifies the runway for the assessment. This information is again mandatory. So here we have used 3 characters, 09 Romeo, right. Then fourth element. The fourth element of first section of runway condition report, that is aeroplane performance calculation section, is runway condition code. I say again, it's a fourth element. It's runway condition fourth code for each runway term. For example, I have shown here 565. Now, how to calculate this? We will take help of some tables. This is again mandatory. This is again mandatory. The direction for listing of runway thirds, I have already told, it will be from the lower designator runway only. And this is a group of 3 characters separated by a slash. So first 5 shows that it is for the first third of the runway. The second third of the runway condition code is 6, and third third of runway condition code is 5. Then the fifth element is percentage coverage contaminate for each runway third. So first third, that is from the beginning of runway 09 right, the percentage contaminate is 25%. The second third is percentage contaminate is 50%, and the last is 75. Last one is known as third third. So all are separated by a slash, and it can be of maximum 9 characters separated by slashes. Then one point to be noted here, this information is conditional. So whatever we will be going to report, it will be based on some tables. Conditions will be there. Then only we have to report here. Now we will go for next one, sixth. Depth of loose contaminate. Here it is again conditional. Conditional means only, first of all, only 4 contaminates depth have to be reported, which I have already told you. These are standing water, slash, wet snow, or dry snow. It has to be done for each runway third, and it can be of 2 or 3 digit number. So suppose first third is 04 mm, second third is 05 mm, and third third is 28 mm. So millimeter, what is the depth of contaminants? These all are in millimeters for each runway third, beginning from 04, and the third third is 28. So now we will go ahead, and the seventh element is condition description for each runway third. Here we have to mention what type of contaminant is present on runway. So as I have told you earlier in Annex 14 volume 1, earlier they have mentioned about 12 contaminants. Now those 12 contaminants have been increased to 17. So these are now compacted snow, dry snow on top of compacted snow, dry snow on top of ice, frost, ice, slush, standing water, water on top of compacted snow, then wet ice, wet snow on top of compacted snow, wet snow on top of ice. So total contaminants have now which have to be reported are 17. Now the eighth element, width of runway. So suppose width of runway, where runway condition code apply if less than published width. So suppose runway width is 45 meters, and we have done assessment, and we find that this runway condition code is for 30 meter of runway only, from the center line 15 meter here and there. So we can say this runway condition code is applicable to only 30 meters, not to the remaining portion of 15. So here we have to report that this is optional. You give it, it's okay. If you don't want to give it, you can leave it. Now, this is table number 1. So suppose if you have gone for the assessment and you find that percentage of contaminant is less than 10%, you will not be going to report this percentage. You will simply write NR, November Romeo. It means not reported. If you have assessed percentage, it is between 10 to 25, then you have to write higher side of it, that is 25. Then from 26 to 50, higher side will be 50, you report 50 percentage. Then if you have assessed percentage 51 to 75, you have to report percentage as 75 percentage. And if the last one 76 to 100, then you have to mention 100. So always reported percentage is of a higher side. And the first thing, if it is less than 10, then you should not report it. It will be reported as not reported, NR. So this is table number 1. Then we will go to table number 2. We report depth for only 4 contaminants. I again repeat it. We are reporting depth of contaminants for only depths of 4 contaminants only. First is standing water, second is slush, third is wet snow, and fourth is dry snow. And when standing water has to be reported, if it is 4 mm or more, minimum value to be reported for standing water is 0.4 mm. If it is 0.3 mm, then it is not standing water. Water definition have been changed now. If the depth of water is less than 4 mm, it is wet. And if the depth of water is 4 mm or greater, then it is reported as standing water. Now, when we have to report the depth of standing water, when it is minimum 0.4 mm or greater. Then the third column shows about the significant change. So suppose first value we have went for the assessment is 0.4 for standing water. Now the variation is 0.4 mm plus 0.3 mm. Then we have to generate a new runway condition report. If any significant changes in contaminants will be there, then only a new runway condition report will come. Otherwise, there is no need for new runway condition report. They are significant changes. They are reflecting that a new runway condition report is required. So first thing first, if contaminant is standing water, minimum reportable value is 0.4. Actual whatever is there, you have to report it. And significant change, if it is 3 mm previous reporting plus 3 mm, then it's a significant change. Then for slush, the valid values to be reported is 0.3 mm and significant changes 3 mm. Wet snow, valid values to be reported is 0.3. Then significant changes 5 mm. Dry snow, minimum value which has to be reported, which is valid, is 0.3, and 20 mm is the significant change. Now we are coming to table number 3. This will give runway condition code. This helps the arrival aircraft to calculate landing distance required based on the reported runway condition code. So first column is runway condition code, runway CC, and the second is the runway surface description. If you find that the runway surface is dry, you have to simply give that runway portion, that is runway third, 6. If runway is dry, our runway condition code will be 6. If it is frost, wet, but it is wet is including 3 mm depth, up to 3 mm depth. Number 3 slush, it is also including up to 3 mm of depth. Dry snow and wet snow, up to 3 mm of depth. So these are under runway condition code 5. Why I have mentioned word 3 mm up to 3 mm of depth, that we will see later, because there is a change in runway condition code if the depth changes. So remember again, in 5, frost, then wet, slush, dry snow, wet snow, and bracket, they have mentioned that this contaminate depth is 3 mm up to including 3 mm. Then we have to report runway condition code as 5. Now, if we have compacted snow and temperature, outside temperature is minus 15 degrees centigrade and lower. Suppose it is minus 15 degree, minus 16, minus 17. So if that is the case, and compacted snow is there, then we have to give runway condition code 4. Now, if your runway surface description is wet, wet means slippery wet. So it means that minimum friction level values have been reached. So runway has become slippery wet. So first wet is wet in runway condition code 5. Here it is slippery wet. So if we find that runway became slippery wet, then we will give him runway condition code 3 only now. So from 5, it has came down to 3. So it is more dangerous to the aircraft operation now. 6 means perfectly okay condition. And as we are going down, 6, 5, 4, 3, it means that it's now dangerous. It's not safe. Now see second element, that is contaminate, dry snow or wet snow, any depth of any depth, and which is on the top of a compacted snow. Simply you put runway condition code 3. Then here again dry snow is given, wet snow is given. If you will see runway condition code 5, there also they have shown. But here the change is the depth of contaminates is more than 3 mm. So if dry snow and wet snow are there, you just see the depth also. If it is more than 3 mm, you give runway condition code 3. Then compacted snow, and here we will give value 3 because in 4 the temperature was minus 15 degree and lower, but here the outside temperature is higher than minus 15 degrees centigrade. So it means minus 14, minus 13, minus 12, like this. Then table 3 continues here. Runway condition code 2 will be given if the runway contaminates are standing water and slush. One we have to give when so we find that ice is on runway. 0 means wet ice, water on top of compacted snow, or dry snow or wet snow on top of ice. Now there is one exception. Irrespective of any contaminant present, as we have said that previously, I have told you that percentage and the depth coverage is conditional. Now this condition is also there. We have to simply give runway condition code 6. Even wet ice is on runway, but that contaminate, if it is 25% including or less, if it is satisfying this condition, that contaminate is 25% or less, we have to simply put runway condition code 6, even it is wet ice. Now this you have to remember. Now this is runway condition assessment matrix, RCAM. Now if pilot reports that braking actions are not good as reported, he has to use some phrases now. These phrases are now standard. If he says that braking action reported, suppose braking action reported in runway condition report is medium, and if pilot is saying that braking action reported are not good as reported, so we have reported medium, pilot is not agreeing to it, so it means there is a need for runway condition, new runway condition report. You have to go for assessment again. You have to find out, you have to check, because he's a user. If pilot is saying that braking actions are not good as reported, it means there is some changes in the condition and we have to assess it again. So this means that if earlier medium was reported, it cannot be medium. Now we have to downgrade it. It will be medium to poor. Now that it will be medium to poor, and earlier if runway condition code was 3 for medium, now it will come down to 2. Now we will see what are the runway condition code, how what pilot mean by braking action, and how actually it will affect the aeroplane deceleration and directional control observation. So if runway condition code is 6, no issues at all. Pilot will not report anything. If runway condition 5, aeroplane braking action deceleration is normal for the wheel braking effort and direction control is also normal. Pilot report good. If runway condition code is 4, it means that braking deceleration direction control is between good and medium. Pilot will report of braking action as good to medium. If number 3, runway condition code, then braking deceleration is noticeably, I will repeat again, noticeably reduced for the wheel braking effort and applied, or directional control is noticeably reduced, or. So Any one can happen. And pilot will report medium, braking action as medium. If 2 is given, it means braking deceleration or direction control is between medium and poor. So pilot will report as medium to poor. If 1 is given, it means that braking deceleration is significantly reduced. It is significantly reduced, and directional control is significantly reduced. So it will comes under the category of poor. Less than poor, if pilot says it will go for runway condition code 0, braking deceleration is minimal to non-existing, and there is no directional control. So this is the RARCAM. This will be used by us to downgrade once we will be getting pilot reports. So air reports have is important in global reporting format. Now, as we have discussed earlier, every runway condition report has 2 parts. So first part we have already discussed. Now the second part is about the situational awareness part. Now we will see. The first element is we have to mention in this order only. Runway condition report situational awareness section will constitute of these elements, and these elements have to be reported in these sequence only. If anything is not there, we can simply omit that one. So first is reduced runway length. If landing distance available is reduced and we have taken a NOTAM for that, so it is based on condition that NOTAM has been issued, and it is for the actual runway. So we will discuss each in separately. First, I will finish this part. Then the second is drifting straw on the runway. Then loose end on the runway. Chemical treatment, it is mandatory, remember. Then others are all optionals. Snowbanks on the runway, thereafter snowbanks on the taxiway, snowbank adjacent to the runway, taxiway condition, apron condition, state approved and published use of measure friction, plain language remarks. So runway condition report is not including runway condition. It is including conditions adjacent to the runway, even taxiway conditions and apron conditions. If something more we want to include, we can include in plain language. So this much freedom have been given to us, so that situational awareness section will give a complete information to the pilot in command in taking decisions. So this is the runway condition information string. So here I have shown the first part only. We will discuss the second situational awareness section in detail. So it is first aerodrome, then date and time, then runway, lower designator, then runway condition code, percentage coverage of contaminants, depth, contaminate type, and reduce runway width, which is optional. It shows that suppose 45 meter of runway is there, and if runway condition code is applicable to 30 meters only, then we will write here 30. Now we will see how to prepare a runway condition report. So here I have taken one example. It is simulated for us. Like runways, airport is Paris, date of observation of 4th November, time of assessment is 1415 UTC. Runway we have given 27 left of 09 right. At the time only one runway is operational. For understanding purpose we have done this. Then runway condition code, it is given like this. For the first third, standing water more than 3 mm. Second third is ice. Third is ice. Coverage is 08%, 15% and 30%. And depth in each third is 6, 5 and 6 mm respectively. So first third depth is 6 mm. Second third is 5 mm. And the third is 6 mm. So this is our runway. We have already given the details. So now what we have to do actually, we have to divide runway into 3 equal halves. So we have to begin from the lower designator runway, which is 09 right. So we have started with this. This is our first, second, third. So this first thing first we have done. Then we will write first third, it is standing water, depth 6 mm, coverage 08%. Second third is ice, depth 5 mm, coverage 15%. Third is ice, depth 6 mm, coverage 30%. So now one by one we will solve. A runway condition report, first it will come, then aerodrome location indicator, that is Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf, Then date and time of observation in UTC, 11 month, 04 date, 1415 UTC. Then a runway 09 right, lower designator will always come. Now you see runway condition code is given 661. This is exception. I have told you, irrespective of what contaminate a runway third has, if the coverage is less than 25%, you don't see anything. You simply put runway condition code 6. So first third and second third coverage is 08% and 15%. Even if it is 25%, including 25%, the runway condition code will become 6. So for the first third and second third, runway condition code will come 6/6/. Now we'll go to the third one. Third is ice. So if you will see from the table, ice belongs to runway condition code 1. So the runway condition code for this will become 661. 6/6/1. Now come again for the first third. Now coverage is less than 8, that is 10%. It is given 8% only. So we are not reporting any coverages percentage if it is less than 10%. So here NR will come, not reported, slash, then 15, then 10 to 25 will come into 25. So we'll write 25%. And the last one is 30. So about 25, that is 26 to 50, it will come into 50. So not reported slash 25% slash 50%. So here we have given percentage coverage. Now we will come for the reporting of depths. Again, I am repeating, you must remember that depth reporting are only for the 4 contaminants. And out of those 4, standing water, slush, dry snow, wet snow, only standing water is present, and it is present only on the first third. So we will report depth if it is 0.4 mm or more. Yes, it is 6 mm. So we will report 0.6. Always remember, it will not be 6, it will be 0.6. So we have to report here two letters, 0.6 slash, second third is ice, third third is ice. So we will not report for them. We will write not reported slash not reported. Then what kind of contaminants are there? So we will mention there standing water slash, second third is ice slash, third third is ice. So by this way, we have to prepare our runway condition report, aeroplane performance section. So we have done with the first part. Now we will going ahead with the situational awareness section. So suppose we have given one runway 27 center Charlie, landing distance available is 2,800 meters, drifting snow on runway, loose sand, chemically treated, snowbanks on runway at a distance of 11 meters on the left and 13 meters on right from center line, snowbanks on taxiway Quebec at a distance of 10 meter on the left and 8 meter on the right from center line, snowbanks adjacent to runway, taxiway Charlie Whiskey 3, condition is bad, Papa apron is poor, runway 27 Romeo, landing distance available is 2950 meters, drifting snow on runway, loose sand, snowbanks on taxiway Tango at a distance of 9 meter on the left and 7 meter on right from center line, snowbank adjacent to runway, taxiway Charlie Eco 1, condition is bad, Alpha apron is poor. So these things have been assessed by our inspector. He found all those things on runway. Now he wants to prepare situational awareness section. So we'll go one by one. So in runway condition report, I have mentioned that situational awareness section is section 2, number 1. Number 2, then other thing is all individual messages in the situational awareness section and with a full stop. If you will see left hand side in white color, every information is ended with full stop. This is to distinguish that the next message is a subsequent message. So this is the way. And if you will see by the first sign, it shows that there is a change of section. So now we have entered into the situational awareness section. The first thing which was mentioned was reduce runway length. I have told it is conditional, number 1. Number 2, why it is conditional? Because NOTAM have been already issued. So its format is like runway, whichever runway. You have to mention the runway for which runway it is reduced. It can be for the higher runway designator also. So if it is for the higher runway designator, we have to mention it is for the higher runway designator, like runway 27 Charlie reduced to 2800 full stop. We can also write, because it is given in question, that runway 27 Romeo LDA reduced to 2950 full stop. So here we are not writing meters. You can write LDA or you can omit it also. Both way it is acceptable. Now next section, drifting snow on the runway. So first thing we have done, now runway 09 Charlie drifting snow. This information is optional. Format I have already mentioned, runway 09 left drifting snow. You can mention drifting snow on the runway. Then loose sand on the runway. Always we have to use lower runway designator here. So except for landing distance available, if you will see in situational awareness section, you have to go for the lower designator only. So here it will be runway 09 Charlie space loose space sand full stop. Then runway space 09 Lima space loose space sand full stop. Then we will see chemically treatment on the runway. I have told you it is mandatory. It will always come with a lower runway designator, and the format will be like this: runway space 09 Charlie space chemically space treated full stop. Actually, chemical treatments, it damages the undercarriage of the aircraft. So once this information will be available to the pilot, the engineers and the ground staff will immediately take care to keep the undercarriage clear of chemically splashes or somewhat it comes while taxiing on that. Now the next part is snowbanks on the runway. Format is runway space 09 Charlie space snowbank space left 11. You can write 11 left also. So Lima 11 slash right 13 space FM means from space CL means center line full stop. So we have to use abbreviations which are recommended in AIS, Nautical Information Service. So we are using runway RWY, that is the abbreviated form. Then we are using left LR for left and right, and from FMCL. So this is some slight change. AIS people know how to fill it, but for all of us, we should also know that how it has to be filled. Then snowbanks on, we have already covered snowbanks runway pe. Now we are covering snowbanks on taxiway. Taxiway Quebec snowbank left 10 slash right 08 space from center line full stop. Then taxiway space tango space snowbank space left 09 space right 07 space FM from space center line full stop. So this is the format. Now runway snowbank adjacent to the runway penetrating level profile set in the aeroplane aerodrome snow plan. So if this is the condition, then we have to mention here, this is all in sequence only. So runway space 09 Charlie adjacent snowbanks full stop. That's simple. Runway 09 Lima adjacent snowbanks full stop. Then taxiway conditions we have to mention. This is optional. We have to simply write taxiway Charlie Whiskey 3 space poor full stop. Simple format is there. Once we will practice it, we will master it. Then we have already mentioned taxiway. Now comes apron. Same format is there. Instead of taxi, we will write apron. So apron, Papa, poor, full stop. Apron, Alpha, poor, full stop. So this is the complete situational awareness section. So we started with landing distance available and we ended with the apron Alpha, poor condition. Now, there are two more things in situational awareness which comes after apron condition. First is state approved and published use of major friction coefficient. This information is optional, and what format is to be written here and how it has to be used, it will be devised by a particular state. So it is kept blank here. DGC, Director General of Civil Aviation of a particular country will do this thing. Then situational awareness section, the last part is plain language remarks. So it can be of like these combinations: A to Z, all in capital letters, 0 to 9, then oblique stroke, period and space. These you can use in situational awareness, plain language remarks. This is Snowtime format. So new Snowtime format have been introduced. So there are certain changes in this. This also we will discuss. So first one is COM heading, then priority indicator GG, most highest priority. Addresses, you just see eco alpha delta bravo zulu ZQ ZX. So these are the addresses to whom this Snowtime will be given. Date and time of filing, it will come automatically. The next one is originator. Who is originating this? Eco alpha delta delta YNYX. So this addressee in AFTN is originating this NOTAM. This NOTAM is originated by Eco alpha delta delta YNYX. Then there will be one SNOTAM number, Sierra Whiskey. Sierra Whiskey means it's a starting office. Any SNOTAM will come with Sierra Whiskey. Eco alpha means it is the FIR which is issuing this particular SNOTAM. Then number will be four characters, 0149. If suppose serial number is 1, we cannot write it simply 1. We have to mention it 0001. On 1st of January every year, SNOTAM serial number will begin from 0001. So any number it can go up to 99999. Then on 1st of January, it will reset to 0001. Then location indicator of the aerodrome for which SNOTAM have been issued is Eco Alpha Delta Delta. Date and time of assessment, 02 is month, 17 is date, 0345 is the time. Then optional, you leave it. Then serial number, it will be generated automatically. Then first part, you see aerodrome location indicator. We have already calculated in aeroplane performance calculation section of runway condition report. It is mandatory. So in SNOTAM format, now it is coming first M, mandatory. And what we have to write here, Eco Alpha Delta Delta. So already we have written Eco Alpha Delta Delta. Then date and time of assessment, it will come in UTC 02170345. Third, Charlie is mandatory. Lower runway designator number, definitely it is 09 Charlie. Runway condition code 3/2/1. Then percentage coverage contaminate for each runway third, 75%/100%/100%. Then percentage coverage after covering this, depth of loose contaminate for each runway third, 06 mm/12 mm/12 mm. Then we have to report the description that what actually contaminate is present. So out of 17 contaminates, we have to mention whatever actual is present there. So suppose slush, first third is slush, second third is snow, and third is snow. So it will come like this. And width of runway to which the runway condition code applies. So instead of suppose 45 meter of runway width is there, it is applies to only 35. So we'll write here 35. It is optional. If you wish to write, you write. Otherwise, you leave it. Thereafter, after writing 35, you enter. Then this section will end. Aeroplane performance calculation sections ends here. Then situational awareness section, reduced runway length, you mention here. Then drifting snow on runway, loose sand on the runway, chemically treatment on the runway. This chemically treatment on the runway is mandatory. Snowbanks on the runway, snowbanks on taxiway, snowbank adjacent to runway, taxiway conditions, apparent conditions. Then last two which I mentioned, which was like measured friction coefficient. It is state approved. Format will be there. So we are not discussing here. It will change from country to country. Then the last one is plain language remarks. So all are optional except chemically treatment on the runway. So this is SNOTAM complete one. First part is aeroplane performance calculation section. If you know how to read runway condition report and how to write runway condition report with the help of tables and RCAM, you know how to downgrade it. So it is very easy to read from SNOTAM or write in SNOTAM. Everything is given in the left hand side. You have to simply mention in the right hand side values which we are getting from the runway condition report. So here it ends SNOTAM. Now, how to disseminate this information? This is a very important part. Once you have done the assessment, assessment have been done, and you have reported it to a nautical information service and air traffic controllers. So air traffic controllers will be informed every time. AIS will be informed in certain cases that we will discuss here. So reporting will be in compliance with the runway condition report cell comments when a significant change in runway condition happens. So whenever there will be any significant change in the runway conditions, we have to go for a new runway condition report. Now what are the significant changes? First thing, if runway condition code changes, remember, you have to go for a new runway condition report. If runway condition code changes, you have to go for a new runway condition report. If any change in contamination type changes, you have to go for a new runway condition report. If any change in reportable coverage, contaminate coverage as per table 1 happens, you have to go for a new runway condition report. If contaminate depth changes as per table number 2, in which extreme right one was, if you remember, it was significant changes. So suppose earlier 3 mm of slush was there, now it is 8 mm of slush, which is more than 3 mm. So it's a significant change. So you have to go for a new runway condition report. So first thing I have changed runway condition code, contamination type, then change in reportable contaminate coverage percentage, contaminate depth. Last but not the least, if pilot says your runway braking actions are not good as reported, so whatever have been reported in your earlier runway condition report, it is not acceptable to the pilot as per his experience. You have to downgrade it. So this is the way where you have to go for a new runway condition report. So now question arises, which information has to be given to air traffic services and which has to be given to aeronautical information service for issuing Snowtime. Aeronautical information service will issue Snowtime, and air traffic service will give voice broadcast using CPDLC, or by controller himself will alert the pilot, and through ATIS also. So that is one part. So first, suppose runway is wet, only wet. All 3 parts are wet and it is not associated with standing water, snow, slush, ice or frost. This information will be given by the assessor, the inspector, to ATS only. And ATS will, air traffic service personnel, the air traffic controller will broadcast it using ATIS, CPDLC or voice communication. So this is the only one condition in which the information will, this wet runway information will not convert into Snowtime. Other than wet runway, if any other contaminant is there and it is significant for which runway condition report have been generated, this information will be passed by the assessor to a nautical information service. In a nautical information service, as soon as it receives it, it will issue a Snowtime for that. So this is the only change here, which is a major one. We have to remember that in what condition you have to issue a Snowtime and under what condition you have to, in all other conditions, you have to simply pass that information to the air traffic services. All other, if it is wet, snow, slush, ice, frost, any kind of contamination is there, so you give that information to ATS also. Now, as per Doc 4444, there is more responsibility on the air traffic service part. So we have learned so far that whatever runway condition report or global reporting format or Snowtime it will generate, it will be done for the lower runway designator. However, when transmitting information on runway surface condition by air traffic controller to pilot, the sections are referred to as the first, second, third, or third of the runway. The first part always means the first third of the runway as seen in the direction of landing or takeoff. So if aircraft is making an approach for runway 27 side, the beginning from the runway 27 will become the first third. So he has to convert that report, runway condition report, which he will get always in from for runway 09. So he has to convert that runway condition report for runway 27. Now, suppose this is the report, Paris 05111645 runway 09, 526 is the runway condition code, 75%, 100%, 25, not reported 0408 mm, wet, standing water, standing water. So this information controller has to pass in ATIS, Air Traffic Automatic Terminal Information Service. So this will be received by pilot through his selecting a particular frequency, ATIS frequency. So next thing, suppose runway news is 09, no issue at all. He will listen it, he will enter all his details into his system, and by this way he will make an approach for runway 09 and he will take off from runway 09. Suppose in between runway changes to runway 27. So we have a runway condition report or snow temp issued for runway 09. We will always get for runway 09, but for ATC, the whole thing scenario will change. As the aircraft is making approach for HAD designator, as I have told that runway news is now 27, ATC has to convert this runway condition report or snow time for runway news. And accordingly, that new converted RCR or snow time will be broadcasted on ATIS or voice transmission or CPDLC. So if you see from the top to bottom, the report have got changed. Observation time is same, runway change from 09 to 27 because aircraft is making approach for 27. More responsibility on ATC. He has to convert this report. And see this runway condition code, earlier it was 5 to 6, so it will be in reverse order, 6 to 5, 6 to 5. Then percentage first part of runway 09 was 75, and the last part, third was 25. So first third of runway 27 will become 25. So 25%, 100%, 75. So likewise, the whole report will be converted for runway 27 side. Now, how ATC will do it is in how he will disseminate this information through phraseology. So there is a change in phraseology, Doc 444 chapter 12. Already those information have been contained there. So here I have tried to give you one idea, fair example, how pilot will get this information through ATC. So first of all, airport will come, Paris. Paris, runway 27, surface condition code 625, issued at 05111645. Standing water, wet. Depth 08 millimeters, 04 millimeters, not reported. Coverage 25%, 100%, 75%. Or it can be reported in this format also, like Paris, runway 27, surface condition, code 625, issued at 05111645. Standing water, depth 08 millimeters, coverage 25%. Standing water, depth 04 millimeter, coverage 100%. Wet, depth not reported, coverage 75%. So what is the change in black and red one? That in first we have mentioned for the first third, then second third, then third third separately. And in the red one, we have mentioned for the first third part, everything like what contamination is there, depth of contaminate and coverage all together. Then we have gone for the second third, then last we have covered for the third third. So both way we can do. Pilot is aware what information he is getting and he can enter that information in his FMS for his safe landing. So this is the way of dissemination of information through ATC phraseology. I thank you all for watching and listening this one, and please share your views in comment section. I request you all, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe your own Aviation and ATC Keep Educating channel. I wish you all a very great day ahead. Thank you all. Thank you for listening and watching.